CCGs meet computer games, gratuitously gimmicky or stonkingly superlative? Today, we take a look at the PS3's Eye of Judgment and see how it holds up. First off, the game intro is hilariously overblown. God knows, if I were a super duper blinged out maid, I'd be using my telekinetic powers to save myself the trouble of physically placing cards on the tablecloth of judgment. But let's put the silly visuals and irritatingly distracting metal soundtrack to one side and take a look at the tech. Now in the box, you get the PlayStation Eye, or Eye of Judgment. It's a pretty good little webcam with a decent microphone, probably what you'd expect for around 30 quid. Now this slots into the rather cheap looking plastic frame of Judgment, like this. And then the whole thing just sort of sits on the edge of the tablecloth of Judgment. It's all fairly easy to set up and configure, and once you're done with that, the card recognition is actually very impressive. If we look at this in the card profile area, you can see it will very quickly find the card wherever you place it, and once the image is loaded, you can move or reorient the card and the image will follow. There are even animations for if you try to interact with the digital image. In-game, the graphics look good and the recognition of placement, reorientation and removal of cards is pretty quick, although using the function cards can be fiddly. Now you flash these in front of the eye to do things like ending a turn or cancelling a move, but you need to get used to holding them in the right way so you don't obscure the barcode and at the right sort of plane and distance for the eye to read it. The game itself is also really well designed. It's quite simple to pick up, but there is a decent amount of strategy and forward thinking required to be any good at it. The objective is to control 5 out of the 9 squares on the map to win, and you do this by taking turns to summon creatures or engines to the squares for a mana cost. Simply place the card on the mat and the eye will work out the rest, including the legality of your move. You also attack and defend against your opponents with basic attacks and spell cards as you try to reduce each other's presence on the board. The strategy comes from thinking about the placement of cards. Different creatures attack in different set directions and forms, and it makes a difference which way your characters are facing. Interestingly, you can also attack your own cards if they are in the appropriate square, so when placing cards with multiple attacks, you might find yourself weighing up the costs of sacrificing your own characters against the benefits of hitting your opponents. The squares and characters are also governed by 5 elements, and matching or opposing these forces when summoning creatures will affect hit points. The result of all this is a rather decent chess-like strategy game. While the game holds up well enough that you can actually play it without the eye, then it is pretty handy. I mean, as well as the funky graphics, then it looks after all of the fiddly calculations in the game mechanic for you. It also means that you can play against the computer if you don't have any friends. Although the game is much more enjoyable when played against a real person, either in life or online. There are mechanisms built in to stop certain types of cheating online, so you need to scan your whole deck and then the computer will randomise your hand from that, rather than letting you select your own cards manually. However, there isn't anything anyone can do to stop people from using good quality copies rather than genuine cards. But the game does seem fairly well balanced with deck limitation, so hopefully this won't spoil gameplay, even if it is a little unethical. The extra features on the disc include a deck builder, video instructions on playing the game, and the so-called mini-game Judgment. This last feature is a pile of crap though. You put down 2 cards and it tells you which is the best. Not even a battle animation. Another downside is that when compared to, say, the Star Wars or Magic CCGs, the cards themselves just aren't as beautiful, varied or funny, and so possibly not as addictive from a collector's point of view. So in conclusion, this is a fun and compelling little game, likely to appeal to kids, CCG fans, and those of us who spent far too many hours playing battle chess or yearning after Sabak. The eye is implemented really well and adds interest and value, but I think at £70 the whole thing's a bit expensive. Even if you knock off 30 quid for the fact you're getting a webcam, that still leaves £40 for the main game, which is ridiculous given that there are no mini-games worth a damn, and you only get 1 starter deck and 1 blister pack, so straight away you're going to have to go out and buy more cards if you want to play with a friend. The game itself gets 4 stars, but I think in terms of value, the overall package only gets 3. There are new episodes out every Monday, Wednesday and Friday over at playdigital.tv, and you can have a look at our DVD and gadget review shows over at channelflip.com.